Okay, so for today, my very first ever podcast, I got my brother Lucas Nieto, first guest. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Doing doing good, man. How you doing?
You know, I'm excited to finally get this podcast stuff rolling,
Hell
and
yeah, I'm excited too.
especially I'm happy to have someone as motivated. You got an interesting story, bro. And even though I know it, I think it would be pretty sweet for the people to know it too.
For sure. Yeah.
So I might be talking to you like I don't know who you are.
Yeah,
You know
right,
what I
yep.
mean? But
Mhm.
so
Yeah, I'm excited to be the first guest on here and test it all out and see how it works.
yeah, 3 cameras. This is kind of pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
This is crazy.
Lights and stuff.
Took like an hour and a half for just to
Set it up.
up.
That is true. All right, so for the people that don't know you too well, tell me about yourself. What's your job? What's your hobbies? What do you like?
So my name's Lucas Nieto. I am 30 years old, from Monroe, Michigan. I currently live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Moved out there, I don't know 3.5 years ago. And I am a respiratory therapist. So anything with like breathing treatments, people on ventilators, that type of stuff in the hospital. And I like skateboarding, music, anything creative and things that get my mind, exercised.
Yeah.
For sure.
So everything that you're into, you always seem to have this crazy motivation in what you do, like this insane drive that, at least for me, I've never seen in anybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that just because you're my brother or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
You make me want to go as hard as I can in certain stuff, which is a blessing to have, first of all.
Yeah.
So, like, how did you start with that drive?
I'd say it all stems from skateboarding. You know what I mean? Growing up skateboarding, from such a young age, like I started at 7 years old, and to the average person, you get on a skateboard, you fall one time, it hurts. You're not going to want to do that again. You know what I mean? So skateboarding teaches you persistence and, drive and to keep going, to motivate yourself to land that trick, So that kind of is where it stems from, because, I would fall over and over and over again, break bones, come home with cuts, blah, blah, blah. But it was just something in me that was like, I love this. I love working towards that end goal, you know what I mean, of perfection, you can say. So that's kind of like where it stemmed from. And I'm just the type of person really that anything I try, I can't stop until I'm either the best I can be, the best, good. I just like can't stop, it's just in my brain. So.
And where did you you just think it was engraved in you at just such a young age? And
I think so, yeah.
almost you were born like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, since 7 years old I started skateboarding, and it just, ever since then, it's just once I find something that I want to get good at, I can't stop, or something I want to achieve, I can't stop. It's just in my brain, in my
so
DNA.
You would I know you would read books like from like Grant Cardone and all them like motivational books and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would that kind of like reboot you into like a next level kind of grind, or like what would that do for you?
I'd say for sure, because everybody gets in motivational slumps where you just don't feel as motivated, or you kind of fall off the wagon for a little bit, and don't really find yourself progressing. So reading something like that, like Be Obsessed or Be Average, or the 10X Rule from Grant Cardone, can really help spark that again and be like, wow, I'm not doing as much as I should be, you know what I mean? So I would definitely agree with that.
That's cool. All right, so you mentioned skateboarding. So you started off at a young age at like 7 years old, you said, and then all of a sudden it came to where like in high school all your friends were doing it, you know? So like how did your skating life come about?
Just, I don't know, I was the kid where I didn't want to hang out with anybody else that did any other things, you know what I mean? I only wanted to hang out with skate rats, So all the way from elementary school that's who I attracted. Middle school, that's who I attracted, you know what I mean, or who I was attracted to. If I
Yeah.
seen a kid wearing like a Spitfire shirt or an Element shirt, I was like instantly like, that's gonna be my friend. You know what I mean? Instantly. So
Yeah.
it was just, I found my little crew that I ran with, and those were the homies. I didn't really care to have like big, friend groups. I knew everybody, but like my core people were skate rats. You know what I mean? That was where it all started.
And I remember too back then in our neighborhood, we used to have everybody around our house, and we would have
Mm-hmm.
boxes, we would have big old skate ramps, and
Yep.
probably had like 10 kids literally
Yeah.
skating in our front yard.
Yeah, I got like you and like, a couple other little kids in our neighborhood
Little
trying
Austin,
to
big
skate.
Austin.
And you guys were like, I don't know, like 6 years old or whatever, 5 years old.
And then you especially like middle school, high school, you were always having like your friends over and stuff.
That was
and
the spot for sure especially during like middle school era. You know what I mean? That was where we would all shred because it was just convenient for everybody. You know what I mean? Like you're in a neighborhood, you didn't have to worry about, you know what I mean, getting kicked out of spots or whatever. We had all the obstacles, rails, boxes, like you said. So it just worked out for everybody.
Did you ever get any hate from the neighborhood that was just like, them skater kids at the corner or anything like that?
I mean, yeah, because we lived right on that corner or that curve, you know what I mean? So we would have our like rail in the like going down from the driveway into the street, or the box going from the driveway to the street. So like people would come around that curve and they like wouldn't see us at first, you know what I mean? So mom definitely had a few conversations with people saying that
Really?
we had to move out of the street. You know what I mean?
Damn.
But it was just, something we love to do, and did it every day, all day. So.
And other than like people like going into the street while a car's coming or something, I feel like that's like the only real problem that could happen.
Yeah.
Like someone like.
Which I mean, I feel like
or...
we were young, but we were also smart kids. You know what I mean? We're not gonna go without looking to see if a car's coming. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So. But yeah, that was a really sweet era. I thought that was especially super cool to see when I was younger, just walking outside, everybody just skating in the front,
Yep.
But so you were sponsored at a point in skateboarding.
Yep, I was.
Like that's how good you got at skateboarding,
Yeah, I mean, especially like
at a time where
for
like
a younger skater,
and also when social media wasn't really around that,
Yeah, there wasn't. It might have been Facebook times, but I don't even.
I think
know
it was more
about that.
MySpace times.
Or yeah, MySpace. That's what I meant. It might have been MySpace times, but I don't even think it was around when I got sponsored yet. You know what I mean? Because I got sponsored
before you can even drive.
Yeah, I was going from 8th grade into 9th grade. It was that summer, I think, and I went to a contest in Blissfield and did really well, and ended up Todd Harder from Ollie's Skate Shop and Native Skates was there, and he see me and he was like, man, you're really good, blah blah blah, and he's like, you got any sponsors? And I was like, no, I'd never even talked about sponsorships or nothing like that. I mean, obviously it was always a goal and a dream, but I wasn't like sending tapes to anybody or trying to get sponsored, you know what I mean? So then he just was like, well, I own a skate shop and a board company, I would love to, have you come by the shop and check it out and maybe hook you up with some stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So then literally like,
so is that what goes into a sponsorship? Like you basically get free boards by them and free trucks and all that stuff, and you're basically just skate their boards, and when people ask about what your boards you got.
Yeah, you rep that company to, basically promote their brand to other people, which I came back with a deck full or a stack full of decks. I had a bunch of stickers, t-shirts, everything, all free product, and the boards were really good. So all the homies were over and they're just like, oh my gosh, these are so good, this is so awesome, we need to go to that skate shop. So I just remember we packed in like 7 of us, in mom's car. We drove out to Ollie's Skate Shop, which was in Adrian, and everybody bought like a board or whatever.
Dude, that's sweet.
Todd was like super hype on that. He's like, man, you're really putting on for the company, so
yeah.
But then it even went as far as like Todd flew me and mom out to New Mexico for that big competition or whatever in Mexico.
That you got invited to?
Yeah, he invited me to that, and paid for our ticket, our plane ticket and everything, and we went out there. And that was like something that I've always dreamed of, like being like, oh, I'm gonna travel and for skateboarding and be like this, big sponsored skater or whatever.
Mhm.
So that was really like a, you know,
That was a
pivotal
crazy
point.
moment.
Yeah, in that period where I just was like, man, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? I'm on my way to fulfill this dream. But yeah, it was a good ride. I mean, over time, you just get older and can't skate as much, and you got to worry about work and all that. And plus, living in Michigan, you get
No
nine
recognition.
months of cold weather
Yeah, that
and
is true
shitty
too.
weather, so you can't skate as often as like kids out in like Cali or these warmer areas. So it just
And probably
became
going to an indoor place starts getting expensive if you do that all the time.
exactly, yep. So I just kind of which I'm happy with the success I did have in skateboarding, but it was just something that I learned to love no matter what. You know what I mean? It was just it'll always be with me forever. I'll always be skate rat till the day I die. Even if
Mhm.
I'm not doing it, if I am doing it, I'm always gonna be watching it or thinking about it. You know what I mean? Talking about it. It's just in me forever.
And what's funny to me is, at least back in my time, there was, at least what I seen, there was really like no skaters. Your time was like a crazy amount of skaters. Like you
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of friends, even if you weren't really like too much friends with them. That everybody was just, I felt like, at Munson all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Now Munson, yeah, we lived at Munson Park. That's where we were every single day, all day. You know what I mean? From second we got out of school till sundown, Munson Park every day.
And then once you guys host like competitions and stuff at Munson, and
We didn't host them, but somebody would. I can't remember who it was that would host them, but there was a couple of them I remember, but they were nothing like crazy. But yeah, it was good times at Munson. There was always so many people there. Nowadays, if you drive by it, it's dead.
yeah, exactly, that's what I'm
Nobody goes
saying.
there. Like, I just don't know if that's because the skateboarding scene around here has died or what, but nobody really does it like we did. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
hundred
we were
percent.
like 50 deep at that skate park every single day. So,
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, man. And then you kind of like later got back into it. So like after you stopped for a little bit, and more so, actually, so you more went to music, right? It kind of went from skateboarding, then all of a sudden this love for music. How did that kind of come about?
yeah. Um, I've always had a love for music. Um, I just remember being like, I don't know, 9 years old, something like that, and I had Eminem memorized like word for word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was like my idol. Eminem was, and so I've always had a love for rap music and just music in general. And I don't know, I met Jay Whip in
At what age?
8th grade, so I don't know, 12, something like that, and he rapped with like his brothers and all that stuff, and it really like showed me. I was like, wow, somebody that I know is doing this. You know what I mean? I thought it was always just like you had to. I don't know. I just couldn't. I never thought that I could do it myself. You know what I mean? Until I seen Jay Whip doing it, and I was like, man, I want to do that. Like I want to try that out. And he was like, yeah, man, I'll teach you how to flow on a beat, how to rhyme, blah blah blah. Because I didn't know anything. You know what I mean? I remember I tried to record to a beat or whatever that the first time, and I didn't even know what being on beat was. You know what I mean? So I was just
Yeah.
rapping and the beat's just going, and we're so out of sync.
Uh-huh.
And I remember Whip was just like, yeah, you gotta figure out how to get on beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then he would show me, and that's kind of where my love for that came, because it just was so awesome to hear yourself back. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And create something. Once again, it's all about creativeness. But yeah, after that, it just slowly started, spiraling into this bigger and bigger and bigger thing. And skateboarding was always there still, but I just didn't give it my full attention. Like you said, it was more transitioned into music. Yep.
And then you guys almost started like a group, T-Conk, like you,
Yeah, that
Jay
crew.
Whip, and then Billy, he was part of that too.
Yep, that crew was Billy, Whip, me, as far as rappers go. But that crew was all my homies. You know what I mean? Anybody that hung out with us, anybody that, was down with us from the beginning was that crew. And not even just that. Anybody could have been that crew. You know what I mean? We're just a squad full of, delinquents doing shit.
Goons.
Yeah, so.
Because y'all would hang out at 6th Street, right?
Yeah,
right off
6th
of
Street.
Monroe.
Yeah,
so
at Joshy Boy's dad's house, 6th Street.
Which unfortunately they're...
Shout out 6th Street, R.I.P.
Yeah, unfortunately they're turning that into a Howie's right now. Is that kind of crazy? Like thinking all the memories you had, and now it's just kind of...
I'm just glad we got majority of it on film, you know what I mean? So we can look back at those memories that we had there, Joshy Boy was very good about just like pulling that camera out and recording no matter what we were doing. He was just recording, you know what I mean? So it was a super good thing for him to capture all those memories, especially with it being gone now, so now we can sit and reminisce and think about all the good times there.
Yeah, literally, you said that it was like a 1-bedroom.
It was literally the size of this right here. This is how big it was. Not even. And
plus,
joking.
You got to think like a bed's in there too, like TV, so it's even smaller than what you would think. And you said that. What would you guys do? Just basically hang out there, just like mess around?
Yeah, everybody would just come over. I mean, it first started out with just like us, you know what I mean? Like me, Billy, Chris, Joshy Boy, Daryl, Ryan, Bobby, like the main crew. And then slowly over time, more and more people started coming through, you know what I mean? Because like obviously everybody was like smoking and, hanging out and shit. So everybody was like, oh, 6th Street is the spot, you know what I mean? And if you knew about it, people would just pull up and we would just pile in this tiny, like literally like 8x8 room, you know what I mean? With like a futon, like a desk, a chair, a table, and that was it in that room. And like everybody would just pile in there and we would freestyle, listen to music, everybody would smoke, you know what I mean? It was just good times, you know what I mean? It was like super good vibes, and nobody really cared that it was such a small area, you know what I mean? Because it was all your homies there, you know what I mean?
And almost in a sense that, does that almost kind of feel better that, I don't know, it's not like you were in a place like Carrington or anything like that that was like a rich neighborhood in a sense, Did it almost kind of feel better that, not necessarily feel better, but kind of, you wouldn't want it any different than how you had it at that point, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We weren't even thinking about that shit. Like, even though, like...
Because we were just almost enjoying yourselves so much. And
and it just made us who we are today, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at the outside of the 6th Street complex or whatever, that building that he lived in, it literally looked like a freaking crack house, you know what I mean? And the next door neighbor, Max, that we hung out with a lot, was a freaking crackhead, you know what I mean? So it just gave us some of the most amazing memories that we can ever think of, and we would have never gotten that if we were hanging out in like some rich suburb neighborhood, you know what I mean?
It's like strict with their rules and all that stuff.
It would have never happened. Like, some of the things we did and seen, it just made us who we are, you know what I mean? And it's some of the best memories anyone could ever have.
Yeah.
So no, there's no regret, no wanting to change it. It was perfect the way it was.
That's crazy. So, and then too, I remember you saying that you would more kind of attract to like you said, the skater kids and all that stuff. So nobody in your crew was damn near like a
straight A student.
Yeah,
no, hell no. No, my which mom hated this, but I don't know what it was, but ever since, super young, if you were a bad kid or seemed like a bad kid, I wanted to be friends with you. You know what I mean? And it's so weird because
you never smoked,
I wasn't a bad kid.
Drank.
You know what I mean? I didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't steal, you know what I mean? But I think I just wanted to be misunderstood. You know what I mean? I wanted people to think, oh, Lucas is
such a bad
Yeah,
kid.
he's a little hellion. He's a badass because you know who he's running with or whatever, what they're doing. You know, T-Conk, 6th Street. You know, but I wasn't ever that, but I loved the people that were that. You know what I mean? And they loved me for who I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
why do you think they loved you for who you were? You know, even though you didn't do any of the bad stuff, you weren't.
I think it's just like they appreciated the no judgment. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, like, if you're stealing and smoking, drinking, doing whatever you're doing, you don't want to be around people that aren't doing that because you don't want to get judged. You know what I mean? You don't want somebody being like, oh, you guys are doing wrong things. You guys are doing bad things. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But I didn't. Those were my homies. You know what I mean? And I loved them no matter what. You know what I mean? So I think they just, and I wasn't like a stickler on anything. If they wanted to do something, I was like, hell yeah, run it up. I wasn't gonna,
like,
but
you've been in situations where people were like stealing in front of you type shit or anything?
Yeah, there's 6th Street stories that a lot of us will probably take to our grave that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? Just because there's been a lot of hijinks shit going on around there for so long.
Yeah, and you've had people steal from you, even some friends too.
Yeah, a couple homies have stole from me before. I'm not gonna say any names. I don't want to call anybody out, and it's past, let bygones be bygones. But I don't know.
What did that do to you when that happened? Did that like hurt real bad?
One of them for sure. You know what I mean? Because it was like somebody that I did a lot for. You know what I mean? Like basically gave the shirt off my back for. You know what I mean? And then it just slapped me in the face, and it did hurt. But I'm the type of person where if somebody crosses me once, you know what I mean, you're done. You know what I mean? I just cut you off, and that's basically what I did. From that day to today, we're like cordial. You know what I mean? We'll say stuff to each other, and every once in a while hit each other on Facebook. Hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. But I'm not calling to hang out with you or nothing like that. You know what I mean?
So it's never the same when someone kind of crosses you and turns you like that.
Because that just shows that temptation will always be greater than the bond we have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So anytime something better pops up, you wouldn't think twice to stab me in the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I remember you telling me about one of the craziest brawls that happened in Monroe. I think it was called like the St. Mary Brawl or something like that.
Yeah.
And like, didn't some of your homies, weren't they into that fight and everything? Like, what went down in the St. Mary Brawl?
Yeah, I don't remember it too much. It was, I think, either 2009 or 2010. Like, there was a big like rivalry going on with like the Hicks of our school, which was like basically like country kids, you know what I mean, wore like boots and flannels and trucks and stuff like that, you know what I mean. And then there was another
Would the Hicks kind of talk shit about skateboarders?
Not that I really remember, you know what I mean, and I was cool with, I didn't have a problem with them, you know what I mean. It wasn't somebody that I was hanging out with or anything like that, but who they did have a problem with at this point in time was this group called Bufu, which stands for But Ugly Follow Up. And that was a lot of people that I hung out with, you know what I mean, because
hanging out on 6th Street and
yeah,
stuff.
everybody would come over to 6th Street, and we knew a lot of those guys through music and just being over on the east side a lot. So
But you weren't part of Bufu?
No, but they were
Were some of people that part of Bufu part of T-Conk?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but there was people. It wasn't, and it's hard to like say, oh, they were a part of it. It's because it wasn't even like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't like no gang shit. It was just like people that hung around a lot called themselves something. You know what I mean? So I guess something happened. I can't even remember all the details on how it unfolded, but something happened between them two groups, and they all met up at St. Mary's, and it was just a freaking massacre. And like I just remember like there was like 8 ambulances or something like that, like wheeling people out, and just so many people busting heads. It was crazy.
I heard that was like the brawl of Monroe, is what I heard.
Yeah, it was wild. It was definitely a crazy thing.
So I remember you talk about a lot of the good times that was going on with your friends, and then there was like a certain point that it kind of like started hitting like a crazy downfall. Like I guess 6th Street wasn't all, so amazing as it seemed. There was kind of like a downfall to something that
Yeah.
was so great.
That was probably around like 2011, I'd say, when people were doing more things than just
Smoking weed.
yeah, smoking weed. You know what I mean? Like it was getting way deeper with like pills and stuff like that. And you know, I don't know if you've ever seen anybody like super like barred out or on these like crazy pills. Like they're a different person, and they don't even know who they are at that moment. You know what I mean? So seeing some of my friends like that, like, I don't know, it just made me be like, man, these aren't the same kids. You know what I mean? They're going down a actual bad road. You know what I mean? And it's not gonna end good. So I just started to focus more on my music, and you know, anybody who's listened to my music probably has heard me talk about these things in a couple songs or whatever. But I just kind of distanced myself and only hung around maybe a couple people that weren't doing those things. But some of them were like 5th grade, elementary school homies. Yeah, so it was definitely tough to see that. But I mean, nowadays it's better. You know what I mean? Everybody got out of that, and we're all
straightened up and
super
stuff.
close.
So
yep.
What would you do? Just stop hanging out with them? And
yeah, I would just, I mean, and the thing is, they were so caught up in this stuff that they didn't even like care to reach out to me. You know what I mean? Which, we were like a unit. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden they're not even trying to reach out to me or see what I'm on. You know what I mean? So that just showed that like they're thinking about other things way more than our, friendship.
yeah.
So
100%.
I would just, I had a girlfriend at the time, in that time of my life, and would just spend more time with her and spend more time writing music, stuff like that. So
yeah, so just had to take a different pivot.
Yep.
So with music, bro, you had everybody in Monroe knowing who Lucas Nieto was.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
like, how was that time?
It was really crazy. Just how fast it happened. I feel like it happened so fast. You know what I mean? Like 1 second, I was just releasing songs on like Reverb Nation, just like little freestyles with like Billy or whatever. And then next thing you know, like I'm going to the fair, and I can't even like walk in without having to sign like tons and tons of autographs on people's iPhones and people's shoes and all this stuff, and just like a massive crowd just following us around, you know what I mean? And then opening up for, big names like Kid Ink, Aaron Carter, you know what I mean? Things like that. So it started to evolve like really fast.
So like, especially with like the fair and all that stuff, was like a whole bunch of girls like on you and everything like that?
I mean, yeah, they were younger, like they were younger grades. Like nobody in my grade really made a fuss about it, you know what I mean? Like I don't know,
but would they see that and almost just like, damn, like this dude's actually kind of like doing something big, you know what I mean? Like
I don't know, maybe they did, but they didn't show it, you know what I mean? I didn't think I got much attention from any of the girls in my grade, you know what I mean? They all were just like, oh, that's just Lucas, you know what I mean? But which is cool. I was fine with that.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole reason that like I kind of segued out of music because of all this shit that was going on. You know what I mean?
Were you getting a lot of hate during that time too?
Oh yeah, there was tons of hate, mainly from like other
Schools
counties.
and
You know what I
stuff.
mean? Like different surrounding schools and stuff like that.
Isn't that kind of crazy though that like instead of just not talking about you, they have to like bring up something that they hate about you or just like some hating ass shit, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd never understood it, but I guess if you're getting hated on, then you're
Doing something
drawing
right.
attention. Yeah, so that's just how I looked at it, and I wasn't really somebody that like got too upset with all the hate. You know what I mean? I just kept moving forward.
Because I feel like people nowadays are talking shit about you, not even doing nothing, you know what I mean? Like if you ever post something on any type of social media, someone's just going to say something about it, you know? Like, oh, look what this person's doing, or
Yeah.
look how stupid this dude looks in this picture or something, you know?
Mhm.
Like we're kind of like in like a hating vibe, hating era.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, and those are just people that aren't doing anything with their lame ass lives, that they have to bring everybody else down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, because like me, like I think about it like if I don't like something, like if I see something and I'm just like that's stupid, I'm just not even gonna look at it or keep scrolling. You know what I mean? I would never take the time to say something negative. That just shows that you actually do care.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and they will never understand that. It's just some people's makeup. They have to bring people down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man, I remember back when you were doing shows, I think I was in like the 5th grade or something like that. Getting into hookah bars and
Yeah, the hookah
going to,
bar was the first show we did.
yeah.
Because I remember, I can't remember the name of the kid, but we were all chilling at 6th Street, and somebody said that this kid was performing at the hookah bar. And we're like, no way. Let's go down there and, see what's going on. And it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. There was maybe 5 people in there, and nobody was even standing up. Everybody was just like doing their own thing, smoking their hookahs or whatever. And we were just like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. So then the next day, I messaged the owner of the hookah bar on Facebook, and I was like, hey man, I was like, let me get a spot to perform at the hookah bar. I was like, it'll be the most people you've ever seen in your place.
That's crazy.
I literally verbatim said that.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, yeah, how does this date work or whatever? And I wanted it to be fairly soon, but not like this weekend, you
So
know
you
what I
can
mean?
like tell
Yeah,
people
I wanted
about
it to be like at least a month in advance. So it was, I can't even remember what day it was, but sometime in the wintertime, maybe January. And I was just promoting it all over Facebook, all over, telling everybody about it. And I mean, you were there. It was one of the dopest shows I did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was everybody.
And nobody was like sitting down, at least for what I seen, like there
Right.
was like a crowd of people in front of you.
Yep.
You weren't even on a pedestal or nothing like that,
No, it was just a freaking standing right on the carpet, eye level with everybody, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like 2 feet away. And we planned it in like 2 days, you know what I mean? We're like, this is going to be our set list. This is what we're going to wear, you know what I mean? That was how we did it. And that was like probably the coolest show that I did as far as like feeling wise, just because everybody was there because they knew me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas if I opened up for Kid Ink or opened up for Aaron Carter or these other people, they weren't there for me. You know what I mean? So sometimes it was dry. You know what I mean? Sometimes it was people just standing there, not doing anything.
Not the Kid Ink and the Carter one though. Those are all like.
No, yeah, but sometimes the people that if I was opening for somebody or something like that, they weren't necessarily there for me.
Yeah.
So it was just a different vibe. Where the hookah bar show, everyone that was in there was there because they wanted to be for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was, I think, max capacity. Like some people had to like wait outside to get in, and it was just amazing. Everybody singing the songs, you know what I mean? Everybody knew the words, so it was super cool.
And even like back then, it's just crazy how witty of a writer you are. Like you just
Yeah.
come up with some like really good stuff. What were some of your projects? I know there was Dreams Come True, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the first song that blew up?
First song that blew up was probably I Will.
No, I think there was another one before that, but that was another really big one though with Jay Whip.
I think that was the first big one that blew up. I Will. Because
Really?
before that, we were just putting out like little freestyle verses and, you know what I mean, like remixes and
And
stuff
that
like
was a
that.
remix too, wasn't it? Or no?
No, that wasn't a remix. That was all original.
Original?
Yep. But I just remember we put out I Will, and it had that catchy hook on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And everybody
that's probably what I'm thinking.
everybody
about
loved it. And we put it on like Reverb Nation, and like within a day or two it had like 2,000, 3,000
Damn.
streams, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh wow. But I'd say after that the next big one was probably Dreams Come True, because I put that one out and put it on YouTube and stuff, and everybody.
Like, dude, I had people in my grade like knew it word from word. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that was like really sweet. I'm like, dude, these people know my brother's fucking music. You know?
Right.
Like, but kind of back to your wittiness though. Like, are you just born with it? Like, how do you think of all these like crazy bars and rhymes? Because even when we'll go to your place and we'll start thinking of rhymes to put together, like, I'm like, dude, how does he come up with this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's just
And you?
how my brain works. Yeah, because a lot of it was just practice over time. You know what I mean? The longer you do something, the more you do something, the easier it's gonna get, the better you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it, but also I just think it's my brain. You know what I mean? Just how my brain works. Because
So,
some people, have a hard time, writing papers or, doing these type of things that involve, your brain to really, I don't know, think of creative things, where mine doesn't necessarily do that. That always came easy to me, like writing papers and stories and anything like that involved the creativeness of my brain to come out.
yeah, that's sweet. So then after you went from skateboarding to T-Conk being like the artist, and then you kind of fizzled out into more so school. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, because
You-
towards the end of the music thing, I started to realize, like, this isn't, like, I do not like this. You know what I mean? Like, I loved making music, but I did not like being the center of attention. You know what I mean? I loved doing shows, but at the same time, it just gave me the most anxiety I could ever think of. You know what I mean? Like, just stage fright, top level. I was just super nervous, had this like pit in my stomach, and then people always coming up to me and stuff like that. And I'm a fairly introverted person, so when I'm walking around in public and I have people coming up to me, I wasn't a fan of that. So I kind of was like, man, I think I'm gonna be done with this and try to transition into something more, normal. But at the same time, I was working at McDonald's still for, I don't know, my 6th or 7th year.
That's
and
crazy.
I was going on 20 years old or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, I don't want to be this dude that is working at McDonald's in his 20s trying to make music pop off. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be that dude that's like, oh, he's just a artist that never made it and he's still trying.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, I got to come up with a backup plan, because before that I never thought about school, never thought about college. I didn't want to do college. I thought that was stupid. I didn't want to do anything other than music or skateboarding. You know what I mean? So for me to hit this point in my life where I'm like, man, something's got to happen. You know what I mean? I need to start planning for some real money. You know what I mean? A real career. So that's when I decided to go to college, and just went to community college and went for respiratory therapy, and ended up being the best thing I could have ever done.
So then you went to respiratory therapy. After you got done with that, you started making some good money because I remember um, you went from having like you said you shared a car with Matt at one point. You had another, I wouldn't say not so great car, and then you had the Durango, and then all of a sudden you kind of worked your way up to a point where the car you got now, you paid that off in cash right when you bought it, you know? So was that from like the respiratory therapy money and stuff?
Oh yeah, I was just because, like you said, me and Matt shared the first Escort, which was like a 1995 Escort that Dad had. We shared that one when we first both got our license, and then I saved up enough, probably like $2,200 or something like that, to buy the second Escort, which was probably like a 98. So went from 95 to a 98 Escort. Bought that for $2,200, and then that took a shit on me. So Mom let me use the Durango while I was in respiratory school. And then after that, for the first year of my respiratory career, I just grinded and saved every penny and saved up enough to buy my Impala.
And you weren't buying like nothing else, like clothes, not really too much.
Because at that point in my life, I didn't really hang out with anybody. You know what I mean?
You
I
weren't
wasn't
going to the bars or nothing
no,
like that.
and
What were you doing other than just school? What was something that you enjoyed at that time?
well, that's when I really got into producing. Because after school, after college, I was like, man, that itch for creativeness is still there. You know what I mean? I still love music. I want to make music still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I didn't want to do that path again and start trying to put music out of myself. You know what I mean? So then I seen a YouTube video of somebody, I think it was like Zaytoven.
Mm-hmm.
He was making a beat like on the spot or whatever. And I was like, dude, I could do that. I think I could do that. And that's so awesome because you're behind the scenes. You're still being creative. You're still using your brain to, find that outlet of creativeness that you need. And I bought a MIDI keyboard, like a little tiny one. Bought FL Studio and just watched tutorials every single day and just went hard on that which I still produce to this day, you know what I mean? And I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it over time.
Yeah.
But that's mainly what I was doing in that point in life, as I was just working on producing and making beats.
Because now you're at the point to where I could show you any beat and you could recreate it if you wanted to.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely, and like with me not having any instrument background or anything like that, it's all just by ear. It's all self-taught, you know what I mean? Like I still to this day can't play any like a song on the piano or on the guitar or anything like that, but when you know music, you know what sounds good, you know what I mean? So I can just play around until I find what I want, you know what I mean? And then you start to learn scales and you can play a scale. So it's all just by ear and practice, really.
And you went from kind of making beats and posting them on YouTube, and then you kind of more shifted to working straight with artists now.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really like posting beats all over like YouTube and the internet and stuff to wait around for people to buy, you know what I mean? I would much rather
find the artist
or have the artist find me and want to work with me directly, and we make something that we're both proud of versus just some random kid buying my beats and then making some shitty song and then it's my name attached to it. You know what I mean? So I just started working immediately, like with Zach Daly, people like that.
And he was probably your best person that you've worked with.
Yeah, we have a lot of good songs out that we.
I know
made
some
over
of them
the
are
years.
just like, man, these are fire. Like I'm sitting here listening to them, like forgetting that you guys even are the ones that make it.
Yeah, and Zach was the type where I would just send him like a pack of beats and then within, I don't know, 8 hours, he's sending me back something, and it's a hit. You know what I mean? Like, that kid just knows what sounds good and how to make music.
And
you
he
know what I
was
mean?
pretty good at like mixing too.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he did all that stuff himself. He mixed it, mastered it, recorded it, everything himself. But just the speed was what I loved. I was like, not only is this kid good, but he's fast.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I'll send him like I said, a pack of beats, and that same day he's sending me something back that's amazing. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And then would you ever critique it or say what you like on that part, or because you guys would work away from each other too, which is even crazier instead of next to each
Yeah.
other recording it, you know?
Yeah, I would just like send him, my input and be like, hey, you know, maybe add a layer here or blah blah blah. Because I obviously spent 10 or my whole upbringing doing music and recording and spending so much time in the studio that I would kind of give him what I've learned over time. So, and he was super receptive to it and was just like, yeah, I'm gonna try some things, blah blah blah.
And then you guys actually had a song that blew up for 100K too on YouTube. Was that kind of like a?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
The what was it? Hit the Road.
Yep.
Hit the Road. Yep.
Was that kind of like a, wow, this is like, like this stuff can actually happen for real?
Yeah, it can. And
because wasn't it like nobody paid for any like extra viewers or anything like that? Like
no,
YouTube just like pushed it
yeah,
out.
it wasn't
and
paid viewers. I mean, there might have been some advertising. You know what I mean? Like the song might have been pushed around through advertising, but it wasn't like, how people can pay for YouTube views and stuff like that where they're not real. Like this was all organic, but yeah, that song, we knew it was gonna be a hit, when he made that, and yeah, it's just awesome to see how well it did.
So do you guys you still work with him?
Not so much anymore. Some things happened that kind of hindered our work together, but we're still boys and we still talk and stuff like that, and we've talked about working together, still to this day, but we haven't really had anything in the plans as of late.
And you're kind of more new person that you work with now is your homie Kyle, right?
Yeah, yep, Kyle Toth, and he's extremely talented, and he has no background in music. No background in music. He just, I guess, loved music and loved singing, and what I mean. He was like, met me in Grand Rapids, and he was like, man, are you really a producer, blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I would like to come over and try to lay some stuff down or whatever. And at first, he came over with like almost like a parody, like joke song, you know what I mean? And we recorded that, and it was actually really good, and his voice was really good. And I was like, bro, next time you come, we got to do something legit, something real, you know what I mean? Because you got it. You got a good voice. Your writing style is great. You know how to switch up flows and bridges and hooks and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So he's definitely got a gift, and we've been working ever since. And this was probably 3 years ago when we made that first song, and now we have 2 songs out on Spotify, and probably a whole album still in the works.
And what's crazy is, didn't you guys get shouted out by or at least asked to go to a big festival in Grand Rapids, Breakaway, right? You guys got asked to possibly
yeah,
something?
we didn't get necessarily asked. We met the what do you call it? The talent manager, where like the guy that scouts for the talent to be on the lineup. You know what I mean? Which obviously they'll have like big names, you know what I mean? Like Odessa or Post Malone or whatever, you know what I mean, will be the big names. But before that, like the 2 o'clock, to 6 o'clock sets, you know what I mean, are all kind of like smaller names.
Yeah.
And he'll scout for talent to see who he should, put on the roster. And we met him and talked to him, and he was just like, yeah, he's like, around April or whatever is when I start looking and putting together people. He's like, so reach out to me, whenever, and we'll see if we can get you on.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
just the fact that we have that connection is awesome. Cause
Didn't he say he heard some of your guys' stuff too?
Yeah, he did. He's like, I always try to, cause he knows Katie, and he was like, I always try to, whenever Katie posts some stuff about your guys' music, I always try to tune in and listen to it, and it always sounds really good.
Yeah, that's cool.
So he's not going in with a blind eye, what I mean? He already kind of knows that we're talented and we can, make the cut.
Yeah.
So it's just cool to have him there, and we can reach out to him and get that spot, really.
Yeah, man, that's so sweet. So what are your plans for the future now? Like, because like I said, you've always been a crazy grinder. You started with skateboarding, went to being like an artist, and you had to shapeshift your life, and work hard for being a respiratory therapist. Like that college wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And then you kind of went from producing. Didn't you get back into skateboarding? And then
well, yeah, like
producing?
I said, skateboarding has always been there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It comes in phases just because you get busy with other things, but it'll always be there. You know what I mean? But yeah, there was another point in my life where
It
I was
got
going
big
heavy
again.
with it. Yeah, like every day skating again.
Mhm.
But it'll always be there forever.
Got back into skateboarding, went heavy into producing. Now you're going crazy with this tech deck stuff, like doing that.
You had to call me out there.
I'm not calling you out, bro. That's sick. I can't do any of the stuff that you do. You make it
Yeah.
so easy, and you got an Instagram page of stuff that's like blown up for like 10,000 views. So it's just like,
Well, that just gives me the same feeling that skateboarding gives you. You know what I mean? The fingerboard, which is kind of stupid, but at the same time, it's like, that's just how my brain works. I need something to make me feel like I'm progressing or being creative or
Yeah.
learning. You know what I mean? I have to learn something always, and just, I don't know.
so what's next for Lucas Nieto then? What's your what's your next passion? Is it fingerboarding right now? Like,
No,
is
that's
it
just
kind of like,
that's just something I do, just to, pass the time. But
because you were also really big into real estate too. You were
that's
really
learning about real estate was big, but that's probably my next, chapter in life is just
investing money.
continue making more money, and elevating my career, income wise, financially, and then slowly or quickly start investing it into some real estate, building, businesses, doing something like that that's gonna give me that eventual what do you call it, like financial freedom, you know what I mean, like where I can make passive income and basically live life how I want to live. Because my like outlook on life is not to work 60 years of your life slaving away for somebody else to get rich and then retire for the last remaining whatever you got. You know what I mean? That's not how I want to live my life. I want to live it while I'm young. You know what I mean? So that's why my next phase in life is to get that ball rolling. You know what I mean? So.
Yep. So, and then I wouldn't say a new girlfriend, but you've had this girlfriend for like 4 years now, right?
Yep. Me and Katie have been together for going on 4 years.
And does she help you with all this extreme grind that you are always on?
Oh yeah,
and everything?
she has the exact same mindset that I do. Like when I first met her, she had her own eyelash company, you know what I mean, like the stick-on eyelashes. She had her own eyelash company. She is her own boss. She does bridal makeup. So she basically built her business from the ground up, and she's a grinder as well, and we just support each other, and we're always saying, like, bouncing ideas off of each other on how each one of us can grow and each one of us can become our best self, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
she's awesome.
that's sweet. And then it seems like what you guys like to do for fun a lot is going on vacations, like going to sweet spots.
Yeah, we
And
love to travel.
she's
for
a
sure.
travel agent too, right? So
Yep.
you guys get pretty nice deals on
Mm-hmm.
wherever that you guys are going.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, we went to like she booked a bunch of people for Mexico, one year, and it got us like 5 free nights at the same hotel or resort. So we literally had just spent $300 on our plane ticket, and we were in Mexico at an all-inclusive resort for 5 nights.
Fuck, that's so cool.
I'm like, you can't beat that, you know what I mean? So we take advantage of any opportunity that we can to do stuff like that, you know what I mean? Just make
Yeah.
memories and see new places. So
Wow, that's sweet, man. So what are 5 things that you say that you value the most?
value the most, as in like what? Like any, like just in all aspects of
Yeah,
life?
just all aspects in life. Like,
3 things I value most. Probably family, health,
and accomplishments, I guess.
yeah, success.
Success, yeah.
Trying to think, man. This is a hard question.
I kind of put you on the spot.
Value most time, I guess, because you gotta, appreciate the time that you have. And
So, do you ever think, like, if you're sitting there chilling, or I don't know, do you ever think like, dang, I could have just spent time doing this instead of doing this, you know? Like,
sometimes, but that's where like my it's like a gift and a curse with how I think and how I do things, because like I said, I'm always wanting to learn new things, and I kind of get good at this, and then all of a sudden this thing sparks my interest, and then I'm like, I have to go hard on this and get good
Yeah.
at this. So it's almost a gift and a curse, because it's a gift because I'm able to excel in so many different things in life and learn a lot of new experiences and abilities and stuff. But at the same time, you never kind of narrow down and on like one thing, you know what I mean? So it kind of screws with you a little bit and
Yeah.
makes you kind of all over the place in some ways. But I don't know,
So what makes you value family so much?
just family, is one of the most important things. Is who made me who I am today, you know what I mean? And without my family, I'd be nothing, So having family and valuing the time you get with them and spending, every moment with them is just a blessing.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'd like to kind of close this off, I'd like to say that you are a really dope brother. I'm not even gonna lie. Like,
Thank you, man.
probably the greatest role model that I could ever have. Like I said, you make me want to go as hard as I can in things. And I don't know, if I didn't have you as my older brother showing me an example like that, I probably wouldn't be taking my time and keeping it as useful as it is,
Yeah, exactly.
And even besides that, I remember even coming up from like with schooling, I was always needing you for like papers, and when times when you could have used your time or kept on sleeping because you were working crazy hours with your school, you still took the time and helped me out with things that I needed, Even
Right.
to this day, I freaking FaceTime you and I'm like, Lucas, what should I do here? Lucas, how do I do this? Lucas, how do I do that? And it almost comes to the point like, dude, when am I gonna help my own brother out? You know what I'm saying? Like, when am I gonna be like, Lucas, you need to do this. Lucas, you need to do that. Or like,
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, that's where it comes back to. It's just family. You know what I mean? You do that shit for your family, whether you want to or not, and it's not a scoreboard. You know what I mean? Don't look at it like, oh, he's done 7 things for me. How many things have I done for him? I gotta even the score. It's not like that. It's
that is
just
true.
when times arise for help, when you need help,
Yep.
it's
you just need to
what I mean?
capitalize
It's just
on
gonna happen. And one day I might hit you up and be like, hey, bro, I need you to do this for me. And you're probably going to not even bat an eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I can't afford a bat an eye because how much shit you've done for me, bro. It's just
you're in debt.
That's crazy. Nah, but I really appreciate you doing this first podcast with me.
I'm hype. I hope it turns out. I hope people like it.
Yeah, I hope all the cameras recorded.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Looks like the red lights are still on. So
yeah, so
I
it
think we're
seems like
good.
everything's all in the go still. So,
Yep.
But yeah, man, dope pod.
Hey, appreciate you for having me, bro. Everybody, go watch Nico's podcast and run it up.
Run it up.
Run it up.
Oh shit, we didn't do the skater.
The skater dap.
Skater dap.
Is that a wrap? Is that a wrap?